We're going to have a look at merging shapes now. A couple of things to note about the shapes and the propagation is using the construction history and construction modes. Not always do the shapes have to contain the same geometry. Because of the shape modeling mode, I can adjust the base shape in modeling, and I will still have the ability to use alternative sources as my shapes. So for instance, in my shape weights I have some animation on here. There we go. As you can notice that this has different geometry. I've simply just added some funky horns on here. Now because this was added in modeling, I can still use it as a source. So select shape key. But as you can see, it can only interpolate. I'll go back to my shape weights now, because it doesn't have enough geometry to be able to curl like so. But this is certainly useful to understand the principle. There we go, changing the weights, because it can still be used as a guide. So if I were to change my extrude op, you can see how I can still move. There we go, change the length or something like that. I can still add detail at the beginning. In addition, now that I've changed this geometry, I can still use another piece of geometry. So let's go back into the stack for this guy. Let's just move him up a bit so we can see the horns. Maybe move him back a bit again. Something like that. If I were to add geometry now to this, let's go and select some edges, like so. We're going to add something inside here. So I've changed the base shape inside modeling by using a subdivision, but I can still select this guy, which had fewer pieces of geometry, and it's doing the same interpolation again between these two guys. There we go. If I were to go into the shape weights and now start to make some changes, so I'm now using this guy and then want to modulate it against this one. I can still grab my original poses and they're all there. One thing to note is if I were to go back to one of my original poses, such as the E sound here, if I mute this, I can still use the original values, purely because of the construction modes. Now, in addition, I can also merge this piece of geometry. Polymesh, merge. The two items which are driving it are the shapes as well as the envelope operator. So if I transfer all attributes, including textures, UVs, as well as shapes now, if I were to just go through here, you can see that everything propagates, envelope, shapes, that sort of thing. If I delete the original inputs, then my envelope has certainly gone, because my original shape has now gone. What has propagated though are all of the sources. So if I were to go into here, if I just update this, there we go, I can go back and start to grab the original shapes which are associated with it. If I want to recreate them with the sliders, I would simply have to go into here, inside my phonemes, there we go, I can start to do shape, apply that shape key, which puts it in mixed weight mode, object relative mode, and there's my clip, and then I can start doing nope, I want to add one of those, and now I automatically get my shape weights, and I can start to rebuild it. One has to rebuild it manually. As for the animation, I could have plotted the original head and then put that through onto the timeline and then remade the shapes just through the individual frames. So it's good to use the construction modes, as well as understanding that merging shapes will now propagate the shapes. If you don't delete the input, it will also have the envelope operator, and if you use alternative geometry, is to understand the interpolation between them.